morning to one and all present here, physically and virtually. Hearty welcome to each one of you for today's one-day seminar on bank branch audit. Dear members, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Irrespective of COVID situations, members of Bangalore branch have been always repose confidence on committee and has been very supportive for each and every program of us. Without all of you, program would never be successful. Thanking all of you for your consistent support, I welcome each one of you once again for today's program. Without taking much time, I now request our Bangalore branch chairman, CA B.T. Shetty, to escort a chief guest of today's program, Mr. B.K. Divakara, who is CFO and also COO of Catholic Syrian Bank. I also request Chairman to kindly welcome our chief guest by presenting a floral bouquet. Thank you, Chairman. I now request our Vice Chairman of Bangalore branch, CA Srinivas T, to kindly escort our SIC members, CA Geeta A.B. and CA Pampana B, onto the dais. I request Srinivas sir to kindly welcome our SIRC members by presenting a floral bouquet. Huge round of applause. Thank you, sir. I now request our chairman to kindly address the gathering.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Happy morning. A louder happy morning, please. It's too cold. Happy morning.
Happy morning.
Thank you. Friends, welcome to Jnanarjane Empowering Excellence one-day conference on bank branch audit. So one of the most important program and also one of most important assignment of chartered accountants every year. Due to COVID, we could not conduct physically last year. It was full virtual. Fortunately, COVID is subsiding. Vaccination also have come. So we thought it appropriate to have a small gathering of physical and remaining on virtual. So we restricted just to 100 members. Remaining around 500 members are joining online. Friends, as an important assignment bank audit, we need to protect the stakeholder interest, and at the same time, to do that, we have to update our knowledge to the latest requirements. There are many changes in bank branch audit. There are experts who are enriching us to understand that and execute our audit in a much qualitative way. In that regard, we have organized this conference. The overwhelming response from the members, all are taking it very seriously and attending this program. Friends, to inaugurate this program, we are really fortunate. We have our own member, CA B.K. Divakar. Is a chartered accountant, also company secretary, and also a CMA qualified professional, having wide knowledge of banking. Currently, he is the CFO and COO, Chief Financial Officer and Chief Credit Officer of CSB Bank Limited, formerly known as Catholic Syrian Bank, currently is named as CSB Bank. Even though we have mentioned in his nameplate Catholic Syrian Bank, it is popularly known even today is like that, but the name has been changed as CSB Bank Limited. He is the CFO of that. Friends, as he already mentioned, he is our own member. In addition to that, he is our ನಮ್ಮವರು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ he is ಮಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಮೈಸೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತನ್ನ ವಿದ್ಯಾಭ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದವರು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದವರು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದು ನನಗೆ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ಐ ಥಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ CSB Bank Limited CFO. I thought he's from Kerala or some other our southern states. Yesterday I came to know that he's from our place Mangalore and also brought up in Mysore. It is happy. We are really fortunate. Our own member is reaching higher positions and is agreed to share his knowledge with us today regarding banking and bank audits and other important issues, even in his busy schedule. So I got his contact from our past chairman and the Central Council, 3-term Central Council member, CA Nityanand sir. He gave me his contact. So when I contacted him, he happily agreed to come and inaugurate our this bank audit seminar today. And he always traveled from Thrissur to Bangalore, even with so many COVID restrictions. So on behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the members present here and present online, our hearty welcome to you, sir. Friends, we are also fortunate. Our SARC secretary, CA Panaraj, due to some health issues on doctor's advice, he couldn't travel to Bangalore today. He is joining virtually from Ballari. I think he's already joined. Our hearty welcome to our SARC secretary, CA Panaraj.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, our SARC member, CA Geeta AB, is already with us. Hearty welcome to Geeta ma'am. Our another dynamic leader of SARC, CA Pampanna, is also with us. Please welcome Pampanna. My colleague in MC, my Vice Chairman Srinivas and Divya and Treasurer Panindra, and our immediate past Chairman CA Ravindra Kore and past Chairman Shuram Bhatt also with us. Please welcome them with a round of applause. Most important, our faculties for the day, the resource persons, CA Ramdhyani sir is with us. Hearty welcome to you, sir. 3 more faculties had to join us. Please, in their absence, please welcome them with a round of applause. Friends, but most important, you are the reason for this program. The members, your eagerness to learn, your eagerness to update your knowledge and do the quality audits is most important. Because of you, this program you have organized. Hearty welcome to each one of you. Our another faculty, CA PR Suresh sir, is also joining us. Hearty welcome to you, sir. Please. Friends, I'll take a minute or two just to update our what is going on in Bangalore branch. So, as you already know, government intended to reduce lot of compliance. Probably some of compliance audit kind of a thing go away in a year or two or in a short period of time. That is the reason even our head office also recommended to conduct more newer avenues of practice for our practicing members. So in that regard, we have taken several initiatives. Some of the important programs I have already planned, and it is some of them are already circulated also. So such programs are, the first one is we are starting from 8th April to 17th April. This is a 6 days program, 5 days virtual, and the last day is physical. The important program name is Transformation of CA to CFO. Transformation of CA to CFO. This is one of the important area I thought is we need to equip the CFO qualities. The practicing chartered accountants needs to learn that so that we can add value to our clients, particularly SME clients. Currently, they are not doing or in hiring CFOs in their organization. They themselves, the proprietor or the principal director of the company is managing the finance. When they are growing, they find it difficult. Several times they mess up their finance and collapse. In that regard, as a chartered accountants, as a value-added service, we can provide that to them, handhold them, and able to make them develop in their area of business. Normally, they are specialized, they are technocrats in their business, but finance is a little difficult for them. As a chartered accountants, we can learn that qualities. Definitely, we can learn with a couple of training programs and study groups and all we need to create. We learn those qualities and we can help them. That is one of the important area we chartered accountants need to develop in the years to come. The next important area, again, I thought is RERA is going up. Not many chartered accountants are practicing in that. Couple of them are practicing, really doing good. In that area, again, I am conducting a 6 days workshop from 19th to 24th of April. So you can develop that knowledge. In RERA, again, like income tax, you can go up to in litigation practice up to tribunal. The first level of appellate procedure, the next level also we can go chartered accountants. That's an important area we can develop, we can specialize, we can do wonders in that area again. The next one is, again, even these faceless assessments, faceless scrutiny, faceless appeals, increasing the litigation practice, I believe. That is the reason we are conducting, we have already planned a litigation practice development strategy or the learning of that. Then again, our traditional practice of cooperative audit. These are also I'm planning to do the workshop instead of one-day seminar. Workshop, definitely we can learn much more thing and do the quality audits. Then another important area I thought is corporate governance. That is most important area we need to learn because many companies are failed because of lack of corporate governance. The NPS increased because of, I think, several studies suggest that. In that area, again, we can add value to our clients. Even though if they are private limited, again, we can develop that practice. Then another important area I thought is we can venture into is succession plan. Succession plan is a very big practice across in developed countries like USA, Europe, and Singapore, in many other places. India is not that much except in some places like Mumbai and Gujarat. Bangalore, we can catch up that. Good number of clients request. You just inquire your client portfolio, check with them. Definitely everyone wants that. Nobody knows CA can give that service. Even attorneys or lawyers also not specialized in that. So we can develop that knowledge. I am conducting a 4 days workshop on that in the month of June beginning. So I request each one of you to attend that program, learn. Then after the workshop, we will conduct a study group for that. That is an important area. Good number of CAs need to come into that so that we can propagate, we are qualified, we are trained for that to do the succession plan. Even people are finding it difficult to succession of their CA practice itself. Good number of people are proprietary concerned, they are closing down or they are not able to succeed to the younger generation. In that, there are good plan for that 4 days workshop. Please attend, register, and look for newer areas and value-added areas to practice. See, even though this compliance, all those much more responsibilities, fees is less, whereas value-added service, we can do wonders. Chartered accountants are equipped to learn anything in 21 days. Definitely our knowledge or our training, we are capable. We are really very good knowledgeable people, which we need to encash or capitalize by learning new areas of practice and adding value to our clients. By adding value, whatever fees you demand or command, you get. Whereas for this audit services, that is again an important service. I'm not demeaning that. It is an important service, but we need to specialize in an audit. Yesterday I read the MCA also is coming out automation in that selecting scrutiny process. Whatever forms you file, it is scrutinized by computer. Notices will shoot to you. So whatever audit or the assurance service we are going to taper, it is not going to be a general kind of a practice. It should be a specialized and passionate about those audits. Those only need to go for audit services. Otherwise, generally people look into this kind of value-added service. We need to department-wise, the audits wing should be separate and independent. They need to update their knowledge on a regular basis so that we can really add value to our stakeholders. At the same time, we can add value to ourselves by giving value-added service to our client. These are all the ideas we are planning to implement in Bangalore branch. There are some restrictions from the head office regarding number of programs we are able to conduct. Probably we may skip some of the CP hours. program we can conduct, probably we may not get the CPE credit. All these newer areas I am talking about to learn ourselves and equip ourselves, not for the purpose of CPE credit. CPE credit requirement may be 20. I am planning to conduct 600 or 800 hours of CPE hours of program. So it will, so that you can forget about the CPE crediting, learn these new areas of practice, develop these areas of practice so that we can command price what we deserve in the market. So that is the idea of the Bangalore branch. In addition to that, few more, I'll take a minute extra just to tell about our website. In the website, I am planning to create a tab for mentorship. I think that is one of the important thing. Good number of young CS are coming to practice without much of knowledge. In our studies, we have not learned much about how to manage our clients, how to develop our clients. All these things we are creating a mentorship portal in our website. I request my senior members to join there and handhold and help your younger members. So that again, it is already opened up, but we are improving that mentorship portal in a much better way. First week of April, we can see all these apps in our website. Again, I am creating networking portal in our website. Networking is most important. We need to consolidate. We need to increase the strength in the market. Independent or individual practice, proprietorship practice may be difficult in future because of all these newer areas. One need to really specialize. That is the reason we are creating a networking tab in our website so that you can approach our other cities. Those who are really good, they are going good in the market. They are able to catch other cities networking, whereas people like me need this kind of support. That is the reason in Bangalore branch we are creating that tab also. In addition to that, another important tab we are creating is tax clinic in our website. Tax clinic is both direct tax and indirect tax experts are coming there and giving solution to your questions. It is open for all the members and even public also. They can post their questions. Question will reach to the experts. Expert will not come to know who asked the question. At the same time, the person who receives the answer also will not come to who answered their question, but the only experts are answering that questions with the normal disclaimer in our website. That portal also we are creating. I believe these are all the initiatives definitely help our members. I request you please regularly visit Bangalore Bank website and also download mobile app of Bangalore branch. Download the mobile app of from the website or even Play Store. So you can register and see all these initiatives of branch, and also you can register and you can look into all the programs available there. It is my humble request, please download the Android mobile app. Shortly we are going to that iOS. Yeah, that app also is going to come. So with all these initiatives, we are planning to help and equip our members to face the challenge posed by the new technology or the new dynamism or the government of India initiatives to reduce compliance. Yes, we are capable to face any challenges. We are equipped for that. So in that direction, branch is working towards to help our members with this all initiative. So please help us and give your suggestions if you want anything else other than this, what we thought. Please give your suggestions regularly, and comments also is welcome. With that, once again, I welcome each one of you for this bank branch audit. Over to you. Thank you, Divya.
Chairman, for giving an insight of that we are conducting in Bangalore branch and the initiatives. Members, it's my privilege to introduce our chief guest of today's program, Mr. B.K. Divakara, who's presently working as Chief Financial Officer of CSB Bank. He further holds additional charge as Chief Credit Officer of the bank. Joining CSB Bank, he was working with Central Bank of India as Executive Director for a period of 5 years from January 2014 to January 2019, and with Corporation Bank close to 28 years in various capacities up to the rank of General Manager. During his long tenure of over 35 years, he has handled all critical functions of the banks. His areas of specialization are credit, treasury, finance, accounts, audit, recovery, operations, credit, and many other areas. He was chairman and director on two subsidiary companies of Central Bank of India, that is Cent Bank Home Finance Limited and Cent Bank Financial Services Limited. Academically, he holds a bachelor degree in business management, securing a rank from University of Mysore. Further, he is an associate member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, associate of Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and also Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India. With this brief introduction, I welcome you for today's program, sir. I now request our Vice Chairman of Bangalore Branch, CA Srinivasti, to kindly introduce our guest of honor, CA Panaraj S.
Happy morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to give a introduction of our guest of honor is joining virtually. Is a presently SRC member of SRC member and is represented Karnataka for 2 terms and is having more than 31 years of experience practicing as a chartered accountant in Bellary. And if you say his academics is many more. In a brief, I can attend 1 or 2. He's presented papers in various seminars, represented on the board of Managing Committee of Bellary District Chamber of Commerce and Industry, represented on Taxation Committee of Federation Karnataka Chamber of Commerce, and so many other groups. His social activities, if I say, is spearheaded so many agitation. Among the top one is agitated inclusion of Bellary district to Hyderabad Karnataka region and led the movement for increasing the grants for Hyderabad Karnataka region for more than 10 years and for constitutional amendments to Article 371 for special status to Hyderabad Karnataka region and implement 371J for development of Hyderabad Karnataka region and so many other social activities and actively participated in so many social activities. With this brief introduction, I present before you Panarajas.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Dear members, let us begin today's program by lighting the lamp and take Almighty's blessings. I now request all the dignitaries on the dais, managing committee members, and also our CAPR Suresh sir, Ramadhyani sir, to kindly join us for lighting of the lamp. Thank you all. I now request our guest of honor, C.A. Pannaraj, as Secretary SIRC of ICA, to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone, and very happy learning day on bank audit seminar. Respected C.A. Divakar sir, Chairman of the Bangalore branch, P.T. Shetty, my council colleagues, Geetaji and Pampana, and the other office bearers of the Bangalore branch, and the elite speakers for the day. It is indeed a very great honor for me to be part of this program, but I had to miss this program on the advice of the cardiologist that pandemic is not gone, the COVID is not gone, so you have to restrict the public transport usage at least for another 2 months till this second spike comes under control. So under these circumstances, I am forced to stay back and join you online thanks to this technology. Bangalore being the leaders in technology, and the many programs of the Bangalore branch are copied by even HO of ICA. That is the strength of the technology in Bangalore branch. Thank you and congratulate for that, for the achievement of this, for reaching this stage. I should congratulate each and every part chairman for their efforts to bring Bangalore to the top in the technology sector. Coming to the banking sector, I am very happy to have Divakar sir today as a guest, because he is a member of our member and also heading a banking sector. This is very helpful, and the days are the automation of the banking activity is so high. It has become a big challenge for us to conduct the audits in this new environment. So in these circumstances, I think Bangalore branch will lead the other branches in guiding them to handhold the members for smooth conduct of the audits. And another very important aspect that is there for us on us is that saving the banking sector or reviving the banking sector in these challenging times. We have to support the banking sector as well as do the compliances that are required in the reporting standards and all. So these challenges, we all have been trained to convert these challenges into opportunities, for which definitely we have a great galaxy of speakers, erudites like Shyam Ramadhyani sir, Manohar Gupta sir, Vittal Raj from Chennai, and PR Suresh. These are the people who have been guiding us both in terms of the subject matter as well as usage of technology. So I congratulate Bangalore branch for conducting this program, and also use what's called registration for this program. I thank all the delegates for joining this. One or two points I wish to mention about Bangalore branch. Congratulations, P.T. Shetty, Chairman, for the special program, CAS to CFO. It is very close to my heart. These SMPs have to be equipped to face the challenges that have come, and also your action plan for conducting various workshops on various topics. Definitely, as you rightly said, the greater thing is, the most important thing is learning the topics than the CP, and conducting 600 CPs hours from the branch. It should not be difficult for the members to cross 20-30 CP hours that are required. And also the website usage and the mobile app and tax clinic, all these things are worth emulating for all the other branches. Definitely, I would request other branches also to emulate the Bangalore branch initiations. And coming to the SIRC, I would say that the professional opportunities area is one major area where we are also concentrating, especially to support the SMPs across South. So there are so many workshops that are planned there, and also I would request all the stalwarts who are there and also all the members to suggest SIRC the areas in which there are newer opportunities for the young members and also all of the members already in practice to widen their activities, because as per the World Economic Forum report, the automation will take away most of our traditional practice areas of GST and income tax. So under these circumstances, it is only the suggestions from the learned members, the institute or regional council or branches can perform to see that the needs of the members are fulfilled, as well as the requirements are achieved. So with these things, with these words, I thank the Bangalore branch chairman and the managing committee for giving me the opportunity to speak here, and also congratulate you for doing this program. I think this is the first phygital program, both physical as well as digital. So because it is digital, I could make it and join it. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and happy learning for the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Panarat sir, for joining us virtually and addressing all our members. Thank you for quick, brief insights on recent developments and updates. Big round of applause, members, for Panarat sir. As members, now it's time to hear from our chief guest, Shri B.K. Divakara, who is CFO and COO of CSB Bank. I now request you, sir, to please come forward and share your thoughts.
Good morning, friends. Respected dignitaries on the dais, a Pampanna, a Geeta ma'am, a BT Shetty, chairman of Bangalore, a chapter of ICAI, and Divya madam, and my dear friends. It gives me immense pleasure to address this August gathering organized by the Bangalore chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I'm given to understand that the Bangalore chapter of ICAI is one of the most vibrant and active chapters in the country and has been engaged in capacity building and in imparting professional education to our colleagues. I am honored and delighted to be here today to inaugurate the seminar on bank branch audit. A seminar of this nature, just on the eve of taking up bank audits, is good for the auditing fraternity. Timing is excellent. More importantly, it is being conducted with the objective of providing right inputs to the participants. This would definitely benefit our professional brethren who would get involved in this activity shortly. I would like to congratulate the organizers once again for their painstaking efforts in conceiving seminar of this nature and taking it to a logical conclusion, and for the common benefit. As you may be aware, I am an associate member of the Institute since 1984, and I know the pain challenges being faced by the auditors while doing the bank audits. I am also working in the banking industry for the past 35 years now. I know the expectations of the management from the auditors. I started my career in Corporation Bank in 1986 for close to 28 years in various capacities. And during the next 5 years, I was working in Central Bank of India as Executive Director. Now I am working in CSB Bank Limited, a Kerala-based private sector bank. I am also privy and privileged to participate in all audit discussions during my tenure at senior level, representing both the auditors and the auditee. I can understand and appreciate the viewpoints of auditors as well as by the bank. Now let me begin my formal presentation. So what are the expectations of the management from the auditors? and the audit. In my opinion, management expectations from the auditors is quite simple and straightforward. They want audit to be completed, certificates and statements promptly without any reminders. Audit should be a value proposition for the bank, and audit shall critically analyze and say what went wrong and what further needs to be done to prevent its recurrence. Report should be factual and should not be exaggerated. This is where that in most of the times at central, fairly at a senior level, we have been discussing. And in some of the cases, we do receive reports wherein some of the observations have been exaggerated. So my only simple and humble submission before you is that this exaggeration can be avoided. So it should be based on facts only and nothing else. And using a plain English without any adjectives will be far more powerful than using some high-fly words. While reporting, auditors should take a practical view on the matter and not to sensationalize the issue. So we have been seeing a very small and pretty matter is being blown out of proportions. That type of things can be avoided. And while doing audit, the auditor should create a healthy atmosphere without disturbing the normal functioning of the bank or the branch. Now, having said that, what are your expectations from the management? As an auditor, your expectations from the management is also quite simple. Not to treat the auditors as an unwelcome guest. You need the required cooperation from management side, furnishing the vital information at right time, and total transparency from management side, and not to suppress any material information. Auditor should not be lured to do certain things or not to do certain things. Greater awareness from management side on the importance of audit should enable them to meet these basic requirements of the auditors. Realization on the part of management that audit is needed for the healthy growth of the bank will go a long way in smooth conduct of audit. Having said that, so what are the expectations of the management as well as of the auditors? Now let us look back. What is that is being looked upon by the regulator, that is RBI. So this is what I just wanted to emphasize. What are the expectations of the regulator? RBI wants banks to adhere to the guidelines issued by them from time to time. As an auditor, you should be aware of the guidelines issued by the Reserve Bank of India, especially during the current financial year, which will have an impact on the audit and accounts of the bank. If it is not adhered to by the bank, so RBI basically what they wanted to know is that whether it has been reported promptly by the auditor. So when I said auditor, it need not necessarily by the statutory auditors. It could be by the internal auditors or by the concurrent auditors, whether the audit function in the bank is robust enough to capture all these deviations. Bank shall function in the best interest of all stakeholders. Bank shall not do just, so I just wanted to repeat this, bank shall not do just banking, but they should do ethical banking. I will be discussing some of these circulars issued by our auditor, by RBI, during the course of my address. RBI during their inspection of banks is pointing out several deficiencies and some of the common observations of the Reserve Bank of India inspecting officials. So is summarized here. Friends, this is what I just wanted to emphasize and share some of my thoughts with you. The first and foremost in any audit is with regard to improper classification of advances as secured and unsecured advances. You may be aware if it is an unsecured advances and ultimately or in due course of time it becomes an NPA, the provisioning that which we are required to provide for these accounts will substantially go up if the unsecured portion is more than the secured portion. That is why the tendency on the part of management is to overstate the secured portion. This is where that you have to be careful. You have to ascertain what is the basis of valuation. So we have seen in so many cases when units have closed. So primary securities, if it is by way of stock and book debts, they used to go with the latest or not latest, the available balance sheet figure. But if you insist for the latest stock statement, you will come to know that there will not be any simple definition of priority sector advances, because banks have an obligation to meet the priority sector advances target. If priority sector advances target, if it is not achieved, then bank has to invest its funds in RIDF. So wherein the rate of interest is abysmally very low. So today, on an average, we will be getting less than 3% for such type of investments. So banks are required to invest. If they are not able to adhere to their priority sector obligations, they have to invest in RIDF. So like in NABARD, CDB. So wherein the rate of interest is too low. So that is why in their anxiety to show that they have been able to adhere to these priority sector obligations, some of the ineligible accounts may be treated as priority sector advances. This is where that you have to see whether it has been properly classified or not. That care you may have to take. And the third one is actual date of NPAs has not been properly captured. So we have seen, suppose if an account has become NPA during this quarter, the tendency is to postpone till next April. So in what way that is going to be benefited? So one is that, so NPA provisioning we need not provide. Secondly, whatever that reversals that we were supposed to do, at least for the current year, it would be saved. In their anxiety to show profit, or suppose if it is incurring losses, to show lower losses. So the tendency is that these NPAs will not be recognized when it ought to have been recognized. Because the day on which that account has been declared as NPA, you may be aware that we have to stop applying interest on such type of advances. And apart from that, we have to reverse the unrealized interest that has been taken to our income account. Then migration of NPAs is also one area wherein they said that is not being properly taken care. But now that these are all system driven, in most of these cases, it is being addressed, but still, I will come to that. So RBI is also worried about this manual intervention is happening in even asset classification norms. So now that is why now they have come out with a circular wherein they said the entire process of income recognition, including downgradation as well as upgradation, shall have to be system generated through straight through processing. So they have given a deadline to all the banks wherein they said it has to be completed by 30th of June 2021. Now some of the banks, though major portion of recognition is being done through system, but still a portion of income recognition is still happening through manual intervention that they wanted to stop, and RBI has given a deadline now. You would have seen in last time when for SWIFT, so arising out of this Nirav Modi's case, when SWIFT, RBI had given series of measures, and banks which have not able to adhere to the timelines, RBI has imposed a hefty penalty on all these banks. Even some of the recommendations of RBI, it could be in one or two, very few cases, the banks started arguing with the regulator saying that it is not applicable to them, or as of now it is not applicable, but for future it may not happening. Future they may take care, but they said when the regulations have been issued by RBI, it is for compliance. So non-compliance of RBI guidelines is being viewed very seriously by the regulator. So you would have seen in newspapers, so every now and then you would be receiving messages saying that so and so bank has been imposed a penalty. Now recently State Bank of India has also maybe a couple of days back has been imposed a penalty because that commissions is being paid to their employees, especially with regard to sale of their insurance policies and all. Yeah, as per IRDA as well as RBI guidelines, they were not supposed to do it, but it is being done, and RBI has imposed a penalty. That is why I'm telling you, friends, this compliance has assumed a lot of importance, especially in the wake of this series of frauds that have happened in the country. And so more and more regulations are being put in place, but at the same time, if it is not being adhered to, penalties are being levied. So that care we may have to take. As I said earlier, this NPA classification is also not fully automated in some of the banks. When I said majority, they would have done it, but again, so somewhere else it is being done manually, or through manual intervention it is being upgraded, and rampantly their internal accounts are also being misused. I will just, RBI has issued a circular in July 2019 wherein they have made it very clear that if internal accounts or office accounts are being used to suppress NPAs, internal accounts means you may be aware, it is suspense account or sundry debtors accounts. So giving a dummy entry in sundry deposits account and giving credit to NPA accounts just to show that some amount has been recovered. And after the quarter end is over, so they were reversing such type of transactions. RBI has come down heavily on that, and they have issued a comprehensive circular on this. If internal accounts is being misused, so then it is for the auditors to point it out. So we have been covering this in our internal audit. It is being covered through concurrent audit, but as a statutory auditor, when you go and inspect or when you audit the branch, so you may have to see whether internal accounts are being used just to show an entry, because the system, for as far as system is concerned, if there is a credit entry, it will take it as if the amount has been recovered. This is where some banks, in some pockets, they have misused this facility. You have to come down heavily on that. RBI is also very serious. So kindly look into this internal accounts if it is being used. And drawing power is also not computed properly. This is also one of the issues are repeated observations made by the auditors, especially with regard to bigger accounts. They will go through the entire file. They will call for the stock statements. In fact, these RBI inspectors are also computing the drawing power and see whether it has been properly applied or not. To that extent, sometimes, especially with regard to major accounts, and if it is showing some inherent weaknesses, then RBI has got all the all the more, so they will look into this type of transactions and see whether drawing power has been computed properly or not, whether paid tax has been deducted while computing the drawing power. And they will also compare with the stocks declared in the balance sheet. So maybe in March, last March, and what has been declared in stock statement for the same month. If you see the stock statements that has been submitted for March and the stock as declared in the financial statement that is in balance sheet, there naturally in most of the cases we have seen that variance between these two figures. Just to show lower profits, they will understate the stocks while finalizing the balance sheet. But when it comes to submission of stock statements, in their anxiety to get a higher drawing power, they will show higher stocks. This is where that RBI is comparing these two, and they are also making a comment whether it is being taken care or not. Suppose as per March balance sheet, if drawing power is computed, not based on stock statement, but as per the balance sheet, because we know the sundry creditors positions also you can make out from the balance sheet as well as the stocks. And if adequate drawing power is not there, so in certain cases we have seen, they have deducted and said that account is out of order from April 1st, and you have been allowing the transactions in these accounts, and it is being kept under standard category, so which is not correct. So to that extent, scrutiny is happening. So you have to take care. Kindly see the stocks that has been declared as per stock statement and what has been stated in the balance sheet. So RBI is also talking about this restructuring of advances. So friends, you may be aware that earlier the incentive to restructure an account has gone. So in 2015, RBI has issued a circular wherein they said if an account is restructured or rescheduled, account shall have to be downgraded. So the incentive to do restructuring, essentially it has gone. So, but subsequently arising out of so many other factors, RBI has introduced or rather reintroduced or permitted the restructuring in certain selected cases. It has not been opened up across the, oh, sorry. It has not been opened across this one for all sectors, but it has been extended like for one-time restructuring that has been permitted for SME units. And last year, again, arising out of Kamath committee recommendations, again, they have opened this window for restructuring of advances. So now restructuring is permitted, but only thing is it has to be done as per RBI norms. And if it is done, you may be aware that it attracts a higher percentage of provisioning. This is restructured standard assets attracts a higher provisioning as well as to the extent of sacrifice, whatever that amount is being sacrificed. So that also needs to be provided. Whether this additional provisioning, envisaged as per RBI guidelines, is being done or not, that has to be verified. So especially with regard to restructuring of accounts, have seen when RBI inspectors will come, so immediately what they will do is they will take up all the restructured advances that have happened during the year. So they will start their inspection with weak or weak accounts only. Similarly, when you visit a branch, so if restructuring advances you can see, then you can start or you can cross verify with regard to SMA accounts, special mention accounts, especially SMA2 accounts. These are all showing some signs of sicknesses. So wherein some information, even if it is suppressed, you will be able to make it out whether it has actually slipped or not. So you can start or you can basis your audit. So by scrutiny of these SMA accounts that you may have to do. RBI is also commenting about, so we have seen, especially with regard to the credit appraisal, what we call it as underwriting standards. They said certain weaknesses because account can go bad if your appraisal is bad. So that is the first or basis on which so you can make out. So in future also whether accounts will go bad or not. So if their standards are weak, so if not today, tomorrow it can create problem. That is why the appraisal standard shall have to be verified and you have to assess whether it is adequate or not. So friends, you may also be aware that accounts are being classified as NPA not only for financial reasons, for non-financial reasons are also accounts are getting classified. For example, breach of COD, what we popularly known as commercial operations data, commercial operation data, especially with regard to project loans or term loans. So they will indicate a date by which the unit would be made operationalized. Suppose if they have not been able to do it, if there is a breach and if there is extension is permitted, but if extension, if it is not done, in case of infrastructure, extension is permitted up to 2 years, or in case of other than infra, up to 1 year it is extended. But well before the expiry of the COD, they have to get this date extended. If it is not done, then again that account shall have to be classified as NPA. Whether it is being done or not, that has to be seen by the auditor. So especially with regard to project loans, term loans, kindly see, and if it is under disbursement, whether COD has been mentioned, and if it is mentioned, whether there is any breach in it or not. Similarly, for non-renewal of accounts, non-renewal or review of accounts, account will be downgraded. If it is not done within 6 months from the due date, account shall have to be classified as NPA. So kindly take out a list of all pending accounts which are due for review renewal. And if it is not done, so then you have to see whether it has crossed 6 months. So one more area where RBI has repeatedly commented or come down heavily on the banks is with regard to short reviews. You know, accounts shall have to be reviewed or renewed within a period of 6 months. If they are not able to do it, so they will resort to popularly what is called as short reviews in banks. They will do the short reviews just to show that account has been renewed or reviewed, and they will not do short reviews once. They will do repeated short reviews. So they may not be able to get the required information. Maybe they may not be able to get the latest financials. So they may not be able to renew it, but somehow the 6 months norm is there. To circumvent that, they will resort to these short reviews, and RBI has come down very heavily on this. And one more area, this delay in reporting of frauds. This has also been commented repeatedly by RBI. So banks are taking their own time. So I will just narrate you so certain instances wherein that they have commented also. So whether there was delay in reporting of frauds. Large number of entries, as I said earlier, large number of entries are still outstanding under suspense or sundry accounts. RBI worry is not only with regard to the pending entries under this head. If it is beyond 6 months, RBI knows that you have to provide for these accounts. But what RBI is worried about the suspense or sundry debtor entries is that whether these entries have been used to suppress NPS. So this is where that you have to be very, very careful with regard to suspense or sundry debtor entries. I am repeating it because later on I'm just going to show you the circular of RBI wherein they have clearly mentioned and they have given the illustrations by which this has been used rampantly by banks. Some of the banks, I'm not saying that all banks will resort to this type of unhealthy or unethical practices, but some of the banks have done this. So show some entries in suspense accounts, debits your sundry debtors account or suspense account, give credit to the NPA account so that it looks not NPA account, so stressed account. It will show as if that amount has been received or installment or interest has been recovered. Then after the quarter end, you reverse it and do this exercise always at the fag end of the quarter and reverse it at the next quarter. That is why any transactions happening internally between the last few days of the quarter and first few days of the quarter will always throw whether this type of unhealthy practices is being followed in the branch or not. Friends, now so I just wanted to emphasize that what is your role as an auditor? During audit, your eyes and ears shall always be open. You should try to elicit the required information from the management. Auditor should not get into arguments and create a scene. While healthy debate is always be encouraged, needless argument be avoided on both sides. This is what internally also we have been communicating to all our staff members that they should not get into any arguments with the auditors. Since I am addressing the auditors, I am just my simple or humble submission is that kindly don't get into any unnecessary arguments with the branch. If need be, you can contact the central statutory auditors who has been attached to your branch for further guidance in the matter. So friends, you may be aware, public sector banks is having a system of zonal consolidation of accounts. And one of the statutory central auditors would be normally attached to a branch or a particular zone. The role of auditors has also undergone. The role of auditors shall also have to be changed. Has undergone a sea change. The expectations of all the stakeholders from the auditors is immense. This has further compounded in the wake of a series of high-value frauds recorded in the recent past in banks. Collapse of few NBFCs like ILFS, DHFL, and banks like PMC is an eye-opener. People started debating whether the audit system has failed in this country or auditors were negligent. When I say year audit, it means internal audit, concurrent audit, or statutory audit. Despite having worked painstakingly, auditors have to hear such unwarranted, uncharitable comments. Let us take proper precautions while doing audit, which a reasonable and sensible person would take. However, at the same time, we cannot be overcautious and report even insignificant or imaginary things. One of the allegations against the auditors, again, not necessarily against the statutory auditors, is with regard to frauds. Frauds were never detected by the auditors. This is what that in most of the debates, so it is being pointed out. Even during when we are reviewing the internal audit also, it is being commented. During your short stay, I do agree it is very difficult to detect and conclusively established that it is a case of fraud. If you detect something but evidences are not sufficient or rather inadequate to declare it as a fraud, at least it can be shown as suspected frauds, inviting the attention of the top management to probe further. But you should be extremely careful while reporting such cases and not come to that conclusion based on hearsay or your instincts. So friends, the COVID-19 has brought colossal damages and unprecedented changes in the wake of working of banks. The economy has crippled and it has brought unintended damages on banks. Business houses are under stress and it has a telling impact on the banks. While the government and RBI has taken several remedial measures to revive the economy, it can happen so slowly but surely with a time lag. Till such time, we have to survive and stay floated. Preparation for audit. So how we can prepare ourselves to conduct the bank branch audit? Friends, the auditor should ascertain whether the branch being audited is deposit oriented or advance oriented. It all depends on the business mix of the branch. If it is advance oriented, auditor has to see whether it is retail focused or tilted towards SME or corporates, etc. It all depends based on the type of business mix they have. Your audit workload also will proportionately go up. It is better if you can go through the previous audit reports for better understanding of the branch and the gray areas, if any. You can go through the latest inspection report, latest internal inspection report, concurrent audit report. You will get to know so many things about how, what is good or what is bad in that particular branch. So friends, so before this, I just wanted to emphasize that bank audit is slowly becoming a distant mirage for CAs. There's surely the opportunities in the form of traditional audit. I am just repeating, traditional audit is diminishing. Let me quickly take you through the changes that have happened in internal audit, concurrent audit, and statutory audit over the years. So this is where the chances for conducting audits by CS is rather slowly diminishing. Not diminishing, it is not on the same level what it was happening earlier. For example, if you just look at the internal audit, this is what RBI circular says. Banks which choose to outsource financial services should, however, not outsource core management functions, including internal audit. In a way, it says, so the external auditors or the practicing chartered accountants are barred from conducting any internal audit of banks. We just look at what concurrent audit says. Concurrent audit, you might be aware, in September 2019, a lot of revisions have taken place as far as concurrent audit is concerned. Several changes have been introduced. Earlier regulation says 50% of the total advances and 50% of total deposit shall have to be covered through concurrent audit. Now, all those conditions have been removed. So they simply say what needs to be covered, how many branches, it's all left to the discretion of banks. Not only that, it also says concurrent audit can be conducted by own staff or through external auditors. Here again, they have left it to the discretion of banks. That means if bank chooses to conduct concurrent audit through their own staff, like in internal audit, to that extent, the concurrent audit by the practicing chartered accountants will come down in the days to come. With regard to statutory audit also, you would have gone through. So it has been revised effective from this year. It says selection of branches should be done in such a manner so as to cover 90% of all funded and 90% of all non-funded exposure of a bank. Cross section of rural or semi-urban or urban or metropolitan branches shall have to be covered. But again, so this all depends, or the selection of branches should be finalized in consultation with the statutory central auditors. The earlier stipulation of compulsorily covering, earlier it was stated that so branches which are having advances of more than 20 crores shall have to be compulsorily covered by statutory audit, and 1/5 of the remaining branches shall have to be covered. That clause has been removed now. So friends, bank mergers are also happening in the country. So with the merger, rationalization of branches has been taken in a very big way. And branches which are in close proximities are getting merged. So not only banks are getting merged, branches are also getting merged. So with the result, number of branches which were available for audit, now it is gradually coming down. So I have just stated you that the scope for audit by the external auditors, how gradually it is coming down for internal audit, concurrent audit, as well as for statutory audit. So maybe their intention is that so they can take use of the technology and need not be done all these things. So loss of opportunities for bank audit, is it a bane or boon? So again, so other avenues are opening up, even in banking space itself. You can see forensic audit is being done now, investigative audit is being done, and even monitoring of large advances. Large advances are also being outsourced. It is permitted now. So you can get yourself prepared for such type of things. So friends, this is what I just earlier said. Unauthorized operation of internal or office accounts. This is the circular. Last line says, the circular was issued on 17th of July 2020 by Reserve Bank of India, wherein they said how banks have resorted to these internal or office accounts for suppression of NPS, not only for suppression of NPS, even to bypass CTR, STR rules. Cash transaction reports are the suspicious transaction reports that is being submitted to ED under AML guidelines is also being suppressed. Suppose if somebody is continuously depositing cash, instead of crediting such cash into his accounts, then otherwise it will be captured under CTR. So what they will do is it will be credited to internal accounts first, and from internal account a transaction would be, transfer entry would be done. This is how it is being bypassed. Even CTR or STR rules are being bypassed. And you debit, as I said earlier, suspense account and credit NP accounts. Again, that is also result in suppression of NPS. So kindly take care of this. Due to paucity of time, I will not be able to explain this one, but just I'm throwing you some of the issues that you can look into it. Friends, this is one area pro forma NPA. You may be aware that Supreme Court, in view of Honorable Supreme Court order, accounts are not required to be classified as NPAs. Rather than banks are prohibited from declaring any account as NPA if it is standard as on 31st of August 2020. So that is the cutoff date. So you have to see whether account is standard, and if it is standard, it need not be, it should not be considered as NPA. But though it is not being recognized as NPA or not declared as NPA, but internally you may have to assess. This is what statutory central auditors are doing. They call it as pro forma NPAs. So, but for the Supreme Court order, what would have been the NPA position? So both in terms of gross as well as net NPA percentage, it is being computed separately and shown. So that, so I don't know. So it all depends on the respective bank's advice. So whatever that advice that has been done, if they wanted to do it centrally, so then you need not be computed. But for your understanding, so whether what is the actual NPS in the branch and what has been officially declared, that you can make a mention. So nothing wrong in that. And the next is long form audit report. I'm not going to discuss. So as you may be aware, there is revision in the format of long form audit report. After a long period of 18 or 19 years, it has been revised. Lot many additions or deletions are there. So that you may have to take care, since there is a separate session immediately after my address. So you will be able to come to know what are the areas that has been incorporated. But only thing is, I just wanted to emphasize that definition of large advances is changed from earlier 2 crores or 5% of the aggregate advances to 10 crores or 10% of the outstanding advances of the bank. So friends, moratorium on loans, you say now that moratorium is over. So, but whatever that loans that has been extended moratorium as per RBI guidelines during those 6 months period. That is, RBI has extended moratorium for 6 months, initially for a period of 3 months and later on extended by another 3 months. That has been over now as on 31st of August 2020. Servicing of interest and installments were deferred. Consequently, the tenor of loan also gets extended by 6 months. The only implication is that if it is a term loan, across the board, the repayment period also gets extended by equivalent period. And in case of working capital facilities, the interest that has not been serviced during this moratorium period was allowed to be funded and carved out as a funded interest loan, and that funded interest loan shall have to be serviced by 31st of March. So this, and apart from this one extension of period, so RBI has also permitted banks to reduce the margin and reassess the working capital cycle. There again, they said this is to a period up to 31st of March only. So kindly see, but now up to March anyhow it is continuing. But these are all the things that I have done. Friends, this is also one more, as I said earlier, proper classification of priority sector advances. RBI is coming down heavily if it has not been properly classified and ineligible accounts are showing. But micro, small and medium enterprises, the definition has undergone a change. So effective from July 2020, so RBI has come out with revised guidelines on classification of MSME advances, micro, small, medium enterprises. Earlier it was based on original cost of investment in plant and machinery. Now it is based on composite criteria. Turnover as well as investment in plant and machinery shall have to be reckoned. Earlier it is on historical cost basis, that is original cost. Now the present regulation says that it is based on ITR return, cost of this one, whatever that has been mentioned as depreciation schedule, that you may have to look at it. So to that extent that has been modified, and for turnover again, it is as per this ITR or as far as GST returns are concerned, and effective from 1st of April, everybody should move to GST. This is what RBI has indicated. So last one is with regard to opening of current accounts by banks, need for discipline. RBI has issued again a comprehensive circular during the current year, wherein opening of current accounts has been restricted in several ways. So if they are enjoying any OD or CC accounts, they are not permitted to open any current accounts. You have to see if a customer is enjoying any cash credit or overdraft accounts, they are not supposed to open any current accounts. And in case of if they are enjoying OD or CC accounts, and if a particular branch, their exposure is less than 10%, again, they can allow credits in those accounts, but debits are not permitted. Only debits are only to the main principal banker. So these are all arising out of the Smallagam committee recommendations, wherein they said how frauds have happened in banks. So this is mainly on account of diversion of funds. To avoid diversion of funds, RBI has come out with series of circulars. This is one important circular. So I request you to go through this RBI circular, wherein they clearly mention if they are enjoying credit facilities, what we should do. If they are not enjoying credit facilities, there again, if they are enjoying OD or CC facilities, or how we should do. If your exposure is more than 10%, virtually there are no restrictions. But if it is less than 10%, if they are enjoying OD or CC account, again, credits are allowed, debits are only to the main principal banker. So, and if they are not enjoying any ODCC account, only if they are enjoying term loan accounts, then escrow accounts are permitted to be opened by the escrow managers. Other banks can also open, as only collection accounts can be opened, but periodically they should transfer that money to escrow accounts. And borrowers who are enjoying credit facilities between 5 and 10 crores. So no restrictions on opening of current accounts by lending banks. But again, they said it is only a collection account. Amount has to be transferred to the main principal banker only. Only if exposure is less than 5 crores, no restrictions as of now. So kindly look into this. And restrictions on opening of current accounts. So this has to be monitored on a regular basis. These are the instructions that has been given to the banks. And term loan proceeds shall have to be routed to the accounts. Friends, these are some of the thoughts I thought. So I should explain to you, I should tell you, so what are the changes that have happened during the current year, and what are the expectations of the RBI, especially with regard to some of the critical observations made by the RBI inspecting officials I have narrated. So I wish this conference a success, and for having given me an opportunity, I should thank local chapter of ICA, and I should also thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving some of the finest updates in banking sector and expectation from chartered accountants. We are very glad and delighted to have you here, sir. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to recognize presence of CA Vittal Raj, sir. Welcome to you, sir. Gupta, sir. Welcome to you. Yes, on behalf of Managing Committee of Bangalore branch of SARC of ICI, I take this opportunity to propose formal vote of thanks for today's inaugural session. I submit my deep sense of gratitude to our chief guest, Mr. B.K. Divakar, who is CFO and CCO of CSB Limited, for accepting our invitation and coming to our program as guest. It's a great honor and pleasure to have you today, sir. Thanks a lot for gracing the occasion. I also thank guest of honor, CA Panaraj, yes, Secretary of SIRC of ICA, for joining us virtually and addressing all the members. Thank you very much, Panaraj, sir. I also thank CA Geeta AB and CA Pampana B, SIRC members, for gracing the occasion. Now, it's a time for us, as a token of gratitude and kind gesture, we would like to honor our chief guest, and I request all the dignitaries on the dais, MC members, SARC members, to join us on the dais to do the honors. Thank you all. Members, it's a treat to host programs for all of you, and I must remark a profound sense of gratitude for all of your support. I thank all the members present here, physically and also virtually, for taking part in today's program. I hope all of you will have a very pleasant learning today. So now I shall conclude and request the Panindra, Director of branch, to kindly introduce the first technical session speaker and speaker. Thank you.